This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my iron. You're going to acknowledge me.
Welcome, everybody, to the Mailbag here on the WWE Podcast. It's Friday, the 6th of September, 2024. As we begin the month of September, football's underway. Baseball is about to get into its final stretch here as we enter the postseason in just about 4 weeks. And pro wrestling's heating up, too, as we are closing in on Bad Blood, a little under a month away now. And that one is sure to be I think, a violent, memorable event. I think that there's a lot of programs that are coming to a head at Bad Blood, a lot of programs ending, new ones beginning as then we head into the Survivor Series season, believe it or not. So a lot to get to tonight with your emails. We might even have a voicemail or two, but I can't promise it. But before we get there, I want to welcome a couple of new patrons to the team here, and they are Preston and Brentley. Preston and Brentley, welcome, everybody, or both of you, to the WWE Podcast. And if you don't have it accessed yet to the Discord server, let me know. We'll get that to you so you can enjoy everything ad-free. But we're going to get to the mailbag in just a moment. But I'd like to invite you personally to join us on the Patreon side of things, because it does support the show, yes, but also gives you an ad-free experience for just $1 a month. Of course, you can go higher if you want to get more benefits, but that's the entry, so to speak. There's free trials available as well that Preston and Brentley have both taken advantage of, and you can head on over to Apple and get yourself an ad-free experience there too with the subscribe button. And if you do a yearly option, by the way, you get 2 months for free, so something to think about. But let's get into the mailbag as we dive in. Who do we go to first? Let's go to Dino. Been a while, Dino, since you've opened the show, I feel like. So what do you got to say? Well, he says, "What's up, WWE Podcast? Dino from Scotland. Let me hear you say yeet. Quick apology in advance about the amount of times I say PLE in quick succession in the first bullet point. Do try to keep up. Well, I'll do my best. So first, I thought Bash in Berlin was kind of lame. The crowd at Bash in Berlin was kind of lame. Not the pre-show, because they were the better crowd than the actual one in the Uber Arena. Maybe it was because I had the pre-show on my 65-inch plus TV and the PLE on my laptop instead of the TV, but then I didn't think they were great at SmackDown either. It was like a slightly above average American crowd, plus I never really got into it, and the fact that it was pretty predictable, so it was more of just something I had in the background while watching football. It's not personal, Germany. I just wasn't as interested as I was in the other international PLEs. Maybe I'm just a little tired of the international PLEs being treated as a B-level PLE with nothing of major consequence happening, which I think by now is the continent of Europe has at least showing that it deserves. Yeah, I don't know about the crowd. I mean, for me, it was kind of the same old of the crowd just chanting things that we don't understand. And for 4 hours, they chanted the same chant that, I don't know, I'm guessing they all chant at sporting events. Whatever it may be, who knows? And if you're in the United States, I can only speak for those in the United States, who cares? I mean, we don't care. Just like there are chants we chant here that overseas, I'm sure the crowds or people overseas are just, hate the U.S. crowds at times. So it kind of goes both ways. As we all we have our own culture, right? We have our own chants. We have our own ways of attending events. But as a U.S. citizen, I can say that listening to the German crowd was not as distracting as France. Nothing against France. It's just a difference of culture. It's all, and it's just what it is. But it's a lot of times going into business for yourself. There's very little booing. Everything's cheered, and it's because there's a lot of excitement. I understand that. But the fact that there haven't been any major consequential events happening overseas yet, everything has been a very wrestling heavy, just PLE, matter of fact. Here's some great wrestling of 5 matches, but no big returns. No big angles started. I mean, that's kind of been the overseas overseas way of doing things for Triple H. Here's some great matches. No big returns coming, no big turns, no big events, just great wrestling, and you'll get an outcome. And by the way, you're going to pay more than anyone's ever paid in their lives, and we're going to throw it in your face by saying it's the highest grossing event. Thanks for the cash. It's kind of what it is. But they keep paying it, and more power to them. There is something to be said for great wrestling, but if you're going to these events expecting big returns, they haven't. I mean, again, not that they won't ever do it, but so far they've shown that it's not really maybe the way it's lined up, but who knows? All right. In the next couple of months, as we get towards Christmas time, we're going to start to find out where the 2025 international PLEs will be. And that's typically when they start getting announced. And the latest rumor I've seen online is Italy, so I guess it won't be long till we find out. WWE clearly is taking a globalist approach to their growth, and they're more than allowed to do that. They're in the business of making cash, and they feel that they've kind of saturated the United States and North America market, and that it's time to go global. And I can respect that, absolutely. And I have, if I were WWE and I was asked, hey, if I was in charge of it, what would you do? Yeah, I'd go global too, in a more aggressive way than Vince ever did with these overseas PLEs. And yes, there will be, in the next probably couple of years, a UK WrestleMania. I believe WrestleMania 42 is heading that way. But I will say, as a United States citizen, again, from just a fan's perspective, not a cash or running the company perspective, when I hear that they're going to be overseas, and I think I can vouch for a chunk of the audience listening from North America, when I hear that they're, it's going to be in Berlin, it's going to be in France, it's going to be in Italy, it's going to be in wherever, I'm not excited. I don't get excited for that. In fact, I hear it and I go, oh. Not that I'm jealous that you guys get the events, because we've certainly had, over the last several decades, more than our fair share, if not the majority of the events. It's not that. It's not that I get jealous. I don't look forward to the crowds, because everything is just so simplified and dumbed down to what's the decibels? How many decibels are what's the number of decibels in the crowd? I think it's a little bit more than that when it comes to watching wrestling, and it's not just let's sing our chants that have nothing to do with what's going on in the ring. Let's cheer for everything, and how loud can we be for just the sake of being loud? And I don't like it. That's just my taste. I know a lot of you totally disagree and just love the noise, and that's cool. But I think that for me personally, when I hear it's overseas, I groan. And nothing against the countries themselves, fine people. I just like the United States / Canadian. I love Canada crowds too. Canada crowds, I think, are what the United States crowd should aspire to be, honestly, because they react to what's going on in the ring. They do have their chants that they do that I go, this has nothing to do with wrestling, especially when Sami Zayn comes out or Kevin Owens, whatever. But you get your good crowds in the United States. You get your Chicagos, you get your Atlantas, you get your when you go to big cities, LA, right? New York City, obviously, Madison Square Garden can be very loud at times. Boston. I'm not going to say here in Albany is anything special. Just because I'm from here, I don't really care. Our crowds are very average here. So anyway, I could go on and on about that, but I'm sure I pissed off anyone listening overseas. But it's nothing against personally anybody in the countries, and nothing against you guys at all. You're very passionate, love. You guys have more energy than I ever will going to a sporting event. It's just my cup of tea. So I noticed this even at the Clash, that the decibel thing that bring up on the screen is so fake, bro. If you keep a close eye on it and pay close attention, sometimes it goes higher when the crowd isn't even making that much noise, and was louder like a minute before, and then sometimes it goes down when the crowd are loud. I first noticed at Clash, when in person, the decibel level is so fake and clearly being manually controlled. I saw that too, and here's why I dismissed it. I didn't even bring it up other than saying I noticed it for them to... they put it on screen, and that's why I'm saying all they care about is decibels. It's ridiculous. I actually think it's real. However, I think that there's a lag in the on-screen and what's going on live in the crowd. That seems to be the case, because you'll see something happen or hear something happen, but then the decibel reader won't automatically react. I think there's a lag, but if they are manually doing it, then shame on them. So I'd like to give Michael Ritter's review of Bash in Berlin on the After Dark episode a shout out. Give it a listen. Absolutely everything he said about Cody and Roman is 100% spot on. Well, it's not Michael Ritter. It's Anthony DeMarco. So check out Anthony DeMarco. Michael Ritter was a former SmackDown review host. So, all right. Is there anything more annoying than when someone in the ring starts speaking a completely different language, i.e. Rhea at the start of Raw and that random guy during the Bash? Yeah, it's annoying. It is. You know, the majority of your audience is English speaking. And you're at times you hear the language spoke that's not English. It's annoying. But a lot of times it's done by heels to get heat. And I mean, just I know Asuka's not currently active, but Asuka, outside of her No One's Ready for Asuka, never said much on air at all in English. And she would yell in Japanese and you'd just be like, yeah, sure, whatever, bruh. Like, you know, you didn't know what she was saying, but she was still entertaining because she's a cartoon character when she's on camera. But a lot of times heels will do that because they know it annoys the crowd. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Last, I have to say, I think Roman returned way too early. And I mean way too early. Given that he's barely showed up, never mind spoken a word on the mic, they could have easily waited another month or two and let the anticipation for his return continue for longer. I'm still of the opinion that my original idea was the best when I said Solo should win at SummerSlam, take the title from Cody. We wait a little longer for Roman, with Cody getting his rematch against Solo at Bad Blood, or where Roman would return, costing Solo the match and helping Cody in front of his home crowd in Atlanta, as it looks like we're getting Cody versus Solo at Bad Blood anyway. And with my original idea, this would have cemented Roman as the babyface and Solo and his team as the heels of the head of Survivor Series. The pop would have been even louder, better, and more memorable as it's in an arena. The fact that we're getting Cody versus Solo again anyway is bugging the S out of me because it's looking like we're getting there only focusing on getting Cody's number of days as champion up. And I fear they want him as champion for a similar amount of days as Roman. That's my biggest fear, and that's the way it looks. Speak to y'all again. Okay, well, I don't think that they're trying to get the number of days up to compensate with Roman. I don't think they have any desire to get to that near 4-year mark. That would be insane. The crowd would eventually turn on him. Had it not been for his song, it is very catchy and it's very well coordinated, I think that the crowd wouldn't be as supportive of Cody. I honestly believe that. Now, that's not to diminish his ability in the ring or his mic skills, which are pretty darn good. But that song just fits him so perfectly, and his entrance is so just grand that I think it's such a strong part of his character that if you take that away, I mean, listen to when Cody comes out without entrance music. Sometimes he'll run out. It's rare, but he'll run out and you don't hear his entrance music. The crowd doesn't explode, you know? They're just like, oh, hey, it's Cody. Cool. You know, but this has been something that I have also said, and this was prior to SummerSlam. You guys can go back and listen, that Roman Reigns, I believe, should not appear at SummerSlam, and he did because it's SummerSlam, and they want a big moment at SummerSlam, and people were anticipating it and waiting for it. But I also was in the camp of I would wait. And here's the kicker, as you kind of brushed on, Dino. Roman Reigns came back over a month ago now, and we have yet to hear anything from him. Nothing. Zero. We've heard Jack S. Nothing. That's it. That's just, I mean, it's criminal. And why people, look, Roman Reigns has never been very strong on the mic. We know this. Roman Reigns has historically been very weak on the mic. Although his character as the tribal chief certainly rectified some of those issues, and he did improve, he's still not lights out on the mic. He's not, never will be a John Cena. He'll never be a CM Punk. He'll never be a Rock. Although Rock is, in his own way, not, you know, he's not the greatest of all time in my opinion. But he's not MJF, right? But Roman Reigns can hold his own to some degree. And the thing is, he's more than capable of cutting a promo to tell us why he's back. We've heard nothing. How are we not making more of a big deal about this? You know, if you're just gonna have him come out at SummerSlam, attack Solo, then come back at SmackDown, attack Solo, then get beat down, and then never say a word. Why? Why are we not hearing from Roman Reigns? There's time for that. You're telling me a month of no explanation, hearing nothing from the guy that people were waiting for since WrestleMania is okay? The time to talk was a week or two in. You know, he could have come out the one SmackDown after, but then the following SmackDown could have come out, or even a pre-taped interview, for God's sakes. And we'll get our explanation, all that. But it's kind of like the fire's kind of burning out a little bit here. The excitement's burning out a little bit. And it's kind of wild that they didn't do that and haven't done that yet in over a month. Dino, you get me fired up now. All right, let's talk to DJ Kuzmo, who says, who would have thought that a 50 Cent made CM Punk bracelet would be the center of attention in a major storyline feud between Punk and McIntyre? If you remember or somehow forgot, the Friday Night SmackDown in Chicago when McIntyre brutalized Punk, McIntyre took Punk's bracelet. Then this past Saturday, Bash in Berlin, Punk regains his precious bracelet. But then this past Monday Night Raw, McIntyre attacks Punk from behind, smashes the bracelet. Can you remember a time in WWE or WWF where an inanimate object gets this much attention? Actually, yes. Oddly enough, something came to mind. Remember the teddy bear that The Undertaker set on fire in about 99, probably, I think 99. And he burned it in front of Vince McMahon to end Raw. And Vince McMahon's like crying and sobbing over this burning teddy bear. That was a big thing for a while. What does that teddy bear mean? There's one for you. It doesn't happen often, though. Which, by the way, I think the teddy bear was related to Stephanie McMahon, symbolizing that he has her hostage or something. I remember The Undertaker was attacking the McMahon family for a while in the late 90s. But, excuse me, that's the only time I can think of. I'm sure I could dig through more. But, by the way, speaking of the inanimate objects on SmackDown, there's a Ulafala, a.k.a. the red beads that Solo and Roman want so desperately to get back. It's kind of weird that the Ulafala angle makes Solo Sikoa an instant tribal chief, which doesn't make logical sense. Oh, well, yeah, DJ, I went over this too. Does it make any sense? I mean, it does logical sense versus, any kind of sense. I mean, by this logic, if you want to just apply it to anything else or anyone else, if that necklace is left, say, on the table, I walk over and I just pick it up and I wear it, then by their own rules, I am now the tribal chief to Solo and to Roman. And they have to just do what I say because I have that necklace. That is a horrible way to go about this story, because then you're dumbing it down to just an object. You're dumbing it down to just, oh, okay, I just have to hold this object and I'm the man. What that necklace should represent is a symbol of what it means to be a tribal chief. Not that if you have it, you are one. By the mere fact that you hold this object, it anoints you as the tribal chief of the family. It's that I hope they somehow correct this down the road. It dumbs it down. It actually diminishes the value of being a tribal chief, because that's something that's earned. Because according to Roman, remember he said that during the original Bloodline story that he was going to originally say that he wanted Jimmy or Jay, I forget which one, that they were going to be the next tribal chief when he steps down. Well, if that's the case, then how could taking the necklace also be a way to become a tribal chief? If that's, if what Solo says is true, if I were Jimmy, I would have just thought, oh, okay, bro, well, I'll just wait till you're not wearing the necklace and then I'll put it on and I'm the tribal chief. And also Roman only wore it during big fights, big matches. That's when he usually would wear it. So is he only the tribal chief when he's making those entrances? Again, so many massive holes that I know you're going to say, you guys, I'm nitpicking. No, they need to correct that. They need to correct that, and they could very easily do it without making it a big deal. Have somebody wear it backstage, and then Solo say, you can wear that, but it doesn't actually make you the tribal chief. It's something you have to earn, right? Boom, over, done, move on. Yeah, so I hope this doesn't become something that's actually reinforced. All right, one more thing to say about the Rogue Bloodline story. I don't know if you mentioned this in a prior episode, but did you see Jacob Fatu's facial expression when Solo told him to give him the tag title to Tangaloa? To me, it looked like a slight crack in the Rogue Bloodline. What if Jacob Fatu was assigned by Roman Reigns to infiltrate the Rogue Bloodline, and then Fatu pledges his allegiance to the real tribal chief Roman Reigns? Could this also be an angle for The Rock to return in time for Survivor Series to align with Solo, Tama Tonga, Tangaloa, and other future Bloodline members? All right, DJ. Well, this to me is option 2. I take option 2. This is all to me going to play out that The Rock, eventually it'll play out that The Rock was the one who told Solo and anointed Solo to do what he's doing, to create his own bloodline, to put this group together, to take down Roman Reigns. To me, that's how this is all going to play out, is The Rock is going to be the one who's the mastermind behind this. There's going to be maybe some greater power, again, not exactly, but that type of story, the nature of that story with the greater power back again in the late 90s. Sorry, guys, I'm referencing a lot of Attitude Era stuff, which was eventually revealed to be Vince McMahon. That, to me, is a way that you could do it, where Solo's talking about this higher chief, or I don't know. You could come up with something other than the tribal chief. You could come up with something, whatever's higher than the tribal chief. Make up a title that sounds official. Make it sound believable. And we don't know who that person is, although many people are speculating it's The Rock. And then sure, have it be The Rock. That would be an awesome way to bring him back in The Rock and have him be the one that was going against Roman. I mean, Rock's coming back as a heel. Let's not forget that. The Rock is coming back as a heel, and you're not going to turn Roman back to a heel. Rock is also getting cheered as a heel, but you're not going to change what The Rock had. That is, as many people have said, one of the best versions of The Rock that we've ever gotten in his entire career. So you're not going to change The Rock to babyface and have him go back to his track pants and just saying his catchphrases. He's going to be the final boss, and Roman Reigns is going to be the babyface tribal chief. So bringing The Rock back to come face to face with Roman is going to be a perfect way to bring those two together for an eventual match. Does that happen at WrestleMania? I say yes, please. Can we finally get it before one of them gets a serious injury, does something else, doesn't want to be involved anymore in wrestling, or dies? I mean, something insane is going to happen, and this match won't ever take place. So we need to do it now. All right. Hungry Pup, what do you got? He says, hey, Matt, love your show. Thank you. I really liked Joe Tessitore on Monday. In my humble opinion, he's a great fit and has a great voice for it. Agreed. So far, on night 1, again, very small sample size, for his night 1 debut, I think he fit in as well as a night 1 announcer could. Does he sound a little bit monotone, that he could be more excited? Yeah. But also, you're coming off of Pat McAfee. You're coming off of Cole and McAfee. And then you go to Joe Tessitore. I mean, it's also a bit of a shock to the system when you go from Pat McAfee to Joe Tessitore. Nothing against Joe, but it's just two different styles. And I think over time we'll probably get used to the more toned down rhetoric. All right. I didn't like the triple threats. I felt the wrong people won. I'm ready for Dom or Kaiser, an IC title run for those guys. In fact, there are at least half a dozen people on the Raw roster who earned an IC title run ahead of Braun Breaker, Jey Uso, Gable, Dom, Sheamus, Bronson Reed, Kaiser. There are probably another 6 people on SmackDown, and I'll finish with something else I liked. I love that Sammy came out to challenge Gunther. It got me pumped up. I'll try not to think about how there is no way Sammy beats Gunther again. If only I would love that. Hungry Pup. Well, Hungry Pup. The triple threats I mean, I didn't want another King of the Ring style tournament. And if they're going to do tournaments to show who's going to earn it, I would rather have them change up the formats of the tournaments. Not everything needs to be bracketed and shown like King of the Ring. That King of the Ring tournament felt like it was 8 years long. And I'd still, with that slight complaint, would rather have that than just, Vince McMahon, who at times was just saying, yeah, these 200 title match, and we don't need to tell the crowd why, they just will accept it. Which a lot of the time he did. And hope the fans wouldn't care, which unfortunately they didn't half the time. Although fans like me did. So I'm the fly in the ointment. But the fact that, we could have a Dom or a Kaiser title run, we still could. But the problem is this. Right now you have a heel IC champ. You're not going to transfer it to another heel. Almost never happens. Just like it usually doesn't happen from a babyface to a babyface. It almost always happens when a babyface or a heel loses a title. It's almost always to the opposite team. So that means that Kaiser and Dom are likely not in contention for a title run until Breaker loses it to a babyface, and maybe then they can chase it. So it's very rare that you have a transfer of power of a championship from one heel to the next. So until that belt is dropped, I unfortunately for your case, I wouldn't think it's anytime soon. Sammy coming out to challenge Gunther. Yeah, it's a fun story. I mean, just because Sami Zayn was the one to beat Gunther at WrestleMania, he's the only blemish on Gunther's record, and on we go. Yeah, he stopped the 660-day run, and all that's true. I think fans still, some, like the fringe ones like myself, hold a little resentment towards WWE for not making it Chad Gable to be in this spot. I actually think, and it's a shame that Chad Gable's a heel right now, because I think he'd be a great challenge for Gunther as now world champ to challenge Chad Gable to challenge Gunther. I mean, we know the quality of the matches we're going to get with those two, which is off the page. But Sami Zayn, even though they're trying to rebrand him as not the underdog from the underground anymore, he's a favorite. I think forever, Sami Zayn will forever be an underdog just because he's Sami Zayn. The music, the programming is hardwired now. It's too late. We forever were told that Sami Zayn's an underdog, and he will forever feel like that until further notice. Because he just looks the same. He's got this kind of scruffy look. He doesn't look like he's intimidating. He doesn't have a ton of muscle mass compared to other guys on the roster, of course. Not just maybe the average guy. But he's got, not a very intimidating look. And he always just looks like the underdog. He just does. So it's going to be very hard to rebrand him as not. But that said, in this case, he is the underdog again. Even though he beat Gunther at WrestleMania, this is different stakes. Different stakes here, much higher stakes than the IC belt. No disrespect to that belt. But the best that we can hope for in this program is how well they can put a seed of doubt. How big will the plant grow, if at all? And that plant's name is seed of doubt, right? How will that seed sprout into anything for any of us? I don't know. For me, probably not. I don't know if the seed will even germinate for me, because there's almost no chance that he wins here. So, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun, and there'll be some haluva kicks, maybe one or two that they'll duplicate the finish to WrestleMania. And we'll say, oh my God, this is how he beat, Gunther at WrestleMania for the Intercontinental title. We're going to have a new champion. And the moment you hear that phrase, we're going to have a new champion, we automatically know that they're not going to win the belt. It is a cardinal sin that I don't know how anybody has never told an announcer, or if they do, it goes in one ear, out the other, that when you say that, it immediately tells the crowd, in that exact moment, you are a buzzkill in that exact moment. Instantly. Cole has done it. Even JR, the greatest of all time, has done it. The King has done it. Corey Graves has done it. Everyone that has spoken into a WWE microphone as an announcer or commentator has been guilty of it, and they need to stop. It doesn't make us believe anymore that that person could win. The reason is because as fans, we know that you are not going to give away the finish of a match. And we don't believe you. We just don't believe you. So stop. You can talk about how devastating, oh my God, he got hit with the pedigree, or he got hit with a super kick, or whatever. Sell the move. Don't predict the finish. Especially in that moment, because we know the moment you say it, we go, thanks, right? Oh, well, gee, thanks. Yeah, we know. Here comes the kick out. Thanks. You know, it's killer. But outside of that gripe, which continues to be a thorn in my side for wrestling, I mean, for literally 20 years, the fact that this match is happening is going to be fun. These two are going to have a kick-ass match. They'll rely on a lot of kickouts of finishes, which is what a lot of the PLE matches do now, to overkill. It's overkill now. But they're going to have a great match. You know that. So, all right. Hungry Pup, thank you. Let's talk to Kay. And they say, thank you for the great job last week. Raw and SmackDown were okay. Nothing special. Wyatt 6 and versus American Made is awesome. I would agree. That's a program that if they actually invested, I think, more time than most people think that they could or should, that it would overachieve. I don't think it would be wasted time. I think that they could really dive into that program and give more time, I think, to the Wyatt 6, because I think the Wyatt 6 are actually getting a little bit stale. It's not to say they're a bad group or they're going to fall off the radar or whatever. I've said that they've done as good as they can do up to this point, but it feels like they need a little bit of a jolt or a boost in character development or something. And that doesn't mean they suddenly learn how to teleport or they, turn into the Fiend and nothing affects them. No, that doesn't mean you just go into Hocus Pocus land. It just means just good storytelling, deep characters, basics. Tiffy is progressing well and more shenanigans are on the docket. JD and Terror Twins is good. Bash in Berlin, excellent, but a wee bit slow. 5 matches in 3 hours. That is true. I mean, 5 matches in 3 hours sounds insane, but you got to remember, obviously, there's a lot of filler. Yes, the matches are obviously a lot longer, but there's so much filler of promos of whatever other shows they're doing and promoting the city. Basically, they are the propaganda arm for whatever city they're in, promoting how nice the city is, right? Which is fine. I mean, they do what they got to do. But there's a lot of that. There's a lot of replays, video packages for the matches before they come out. Plus, you have the entrances themselves, which, depending on who they are, can take 48 minutes to do. There's a lot of that. There's tons of filler. I mean, if you did actual just wrestling, and you could have taken care of 5 matches in like, I don't know what the runtime was for each match, but I would guess in like an hour and a half, you could have done 5 matches. Maybe 2 hours. There was like an hour plus of filler. Now, the pomp and circumstance of pro wrestling, but it's not really a complaint. You just know what you're getting into with wrestling these days. It's just the nature of the product today. A lot of good matches. I personally hate Cody and CM Punk equally. Well, that's interesting because eventually they're going to have a match. So who are you gonna go for? I would agree that there is some kind of. I'm starting to dislike Punk a little bit more every week, and a lot of that has to do for me personally. He supports a lot of things personally that I oppose. I mean, like we seem to be opposite ends on things on a lot of stuff. So I'm trying not to bring in what I know he supports in real life to how I feel about his professional wrestling character. Hard to do, but if I do my best to shun that out, the character CM Punk is pandering lately. He doesn't wrestle often, but I don't expect it at his age. Okay, so while that's not a complaint, it's just an observation. I don't feel like it's a detriment. I think that it feels special when he wrestles, but the pandering can stop. I would agree with that. I mean, I don't know what the program with Punk and Cody would look like. I mean, who can kiss the ass of the crowd better would be the stipulation. Maybe that's how you beat your opponent is who can cut the best promo to kiss the crowd's ass the best. You win. All right. The ass kicking wimpy Dom took. Okay. I know what you're saying. I thought I said that wrong. Dom got his ass kicked, and you felt he took it brilliantly. I would agree. Dom is just so good. All matches were very predictable. Looking forward to this week. Thanks for the shout out. Most appreciated. Well, thanks, Kay. Hope all is well with you, wherever you may be, and that you continue to listen to the show. And I hope you enjoy it as we head into a very, very active Survivor Series season in just about a month or so. All right. Let's talk to Bo. Bo says, "Hey, Matt, I don't have much time. I'm going to quickly book Bad Blood. Give your predictions for the imaginary card and make changes if you see a need." Okay. Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns in Bloodline Rules. I would say that's a more SmackDown main event. I mean, unless... I'm not going to say it's a bad idea. In fact, I would prefer it over Solo only because Solo's the match we all want. And we'll get the match, but I'm a big slow burn guy. And I'm for Jacob Fatu being the guy that Roman has to get through to get to Solo, as Jacob Fatu was anointed as the right-hand man of Solo. So doesn't and shouldn't he have to beat his number one guy to get to Solo? Now, I could see WWE in reality making this like a SmackDown main event with a very rare SmackDown match from Roman Reigns, making it a big time. And maybe that's what they do. Again, don't forget, SmackDown's coming to USA, and Triple H has said he wants to make it a huge show. Next week, a week from today, SmackDown will be on USA, and they're going to make it huge. So, I mean, that's a way to do it. All right, Rhea versus Liv for women's world title. Yes, I would agree. Dragunov versus Gunther, world title. No. Sami Zayn, as we all know now. But that's, of course, me with hindsight here. Finn Balor and Damian Priest. Yes, I would agree. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Hell in a Cell. Yes, and I've called that about a month ago as well. Not saying I'm better at you than picking stuff, Bo. I'm just saying I would concur with that. And I think it's a perfect way to end this rivalry. Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes for the championship. Kevin Owens turns on Cody, which causes this match. I actually think, and thank you for reading, and talk to you later. Keep up the good work. Thank you. I think, early call, we have a Randy Orton turn in Cody Rhodes here. I think Kevin Owens loses to Cody. Maybe Kevin turns. There's a couple ways this could go. Okay, early call. There's going to be a big heel turn at Bad Blood. All right? It could be at Cody Rhodes, or it could be Kevin Owens, or it could be Randy Orton, or both. Now, Solo versus Cody Rhodes for the world title, could happen. But I think if Randy Orton comes out and RKO's Cody at the end of the show, hey, we're off to the races. I don't need Cody anymore involved in the bloodline. That's the thing. Step away. Take a break from the whole deal. I know that the top heel group, you're the top babyface on the show. You guys have good chemistry, but it's kind of like it's rinse and repeat. And I think also having a big balance here of a heel with Roman Reigns also on the babyface side now. A big heel has just turned babyface. Now you got to kind of balance the equation. I really think Kevin Owens or Randy, or both Randy Orton and Kevin Owens turn heel on Cody would be awesome. I do. And then you have, well, you could get crazy. You could get crazy. I'll stop there. Thank you, Bo. All right. Let's go to, inside Patreon. I know there's a couple people also who have messaged me. This is Frank. Frank says, I need to talk about this new commentator, Joe Tessitore. I am not a fan of him. The way he does his play-by-play is very boring. Well, again, Frank, I mean, I just commented on this a few moments ago. You're used to Corey Graves. I'm sorry, well, Corey Graves too, but Pat McAfee, the ultra high energy Pat McAfee, to Joe Tessitore, the more play-by-play guy who sounds like a radio voice. It's a big change. I would say just give it a little time. Take Pat McAfee out of your brain the best you can and just try. That's all. Just try. Give it a few weeks, a month. Second, the storyline between Drew and Punk is getting more exciting with Drew breaking the bracelet and shoving it in his throat for Bad Blood. Can't believe John. Okay, yeah. So before we get to your third point, yeah, it's crazy. This is all over a bracelet. I mean, it's more than that. The bracelet's symbolic of what's happening. But yeah, this was fun. I mean, I don't remember the last time, if at all, there was a bracelet broken and shoved down someone's throat. That may be a first for me that I've seen in wrestling. So, can't believe Odyssey Jones got fired from WWE when he was just getting started. Yeah, that stinks because he could have been the catalyst for a New Day breakup. I hope that hasn't been stopped. If you guys listen, if WWE's listening and you were using Odyssey Jones as the catalyst for a breakup of the New Day, and now you're saying to yourselves, well, I guess we'll keep New Day together. No. Push forward. Truck along. Truck through it. You can do it. I have faith in you. You don't need Odyssey Jones to break up the New Day. I promise you. You can do it. Attaboy. All right. So, and finally, Cody is making the title a secondhand belt, and Gunther is making his a prize till next time with everyone saying eat. Thanks, Frank. I mean, I keep asking this to the Cody fans. A genuine question, not a gotcha, not mocking the Cody fans. I genuinely want to ask the Cody fans, how do you feel about his run thus far? From WrestleMania to now. Is it everything you hoped it would be? Was finishing the story really that good? You tell me, but Gunther is elevating the belt, and I love it. Gunther elevates everything he touches. Everything he touches, and he continues. People aren't talking about his promos either, which don't get enough attention. I think he's upping his game in promos too. He's working clearly on his speaking ability, and it's showing. All right, finally, Jeff T, also a patron, says, hey, so when's the Dom and Liv wedding? It's been a while since we had a good old wedding in WWE. Wondering if you listen or watch The Undertaker's podcast. I always love watching it. He's super funny. Kane for governor. Yes, Kane for governor. Glenn Jacobs. Yeah, I mean, of course, depending on your political affiliation, you may agree or disagree with Glenn Jacobs, the mayor of Knox County in Tennessee. So, hey, I'll leave that out of it, but I'll save the political stuff for my other show, which I guess that's a nice segue. Check it out, guys. If you want to check out my other show, which is about politics and culture, you can head on over to anywhere you listen to podcasts and search for The War on Truth. I am the icon with the laptop and the American flag. That's mine because there are more than one of my show. I think there's another one that hasn't been updated in like 4 years. So that's me. Check it out and give us a follow if you like our stuff. And there's a lot more to come on that, given that you may have heard there's a debate coming up between the two presidential candidates on Tuesday, I believe it is. So I'll leave it at that. But as far as Undertaker's podcast goes, I do watch the clips and highlights. He does a great job. He's a funny dude. And he's got so much knowledge and so much to share of being... of really being a protected character for 30 years. He's got so much that he can unleash now, and it's great. And by the way, I know you didn't ask this, Jeff. There's a Vince McMahon documentary coming out on September 25th done by Netflix. That should ruffle some feathers. It's going to be brilliant. I don't know why my voice cracked. I don't know. I hope I'm not going through puberty again. But as far as Dom and Liv's wedding, it's been a while, yeah. I'm a big fan of wrestling weddings being few and far between, because you know the setup, you know it's going to get crashed, you know something and someone's going to pop out of the cake, someone interrupt, infidelity being exposed, something along those lines. And it's all fun and games. Don't get me wrong. I'm not totally opposed to it. I'm a more very few and far between kind of guy when it comes to weddings. But Liv and Dom, that's fine. I think that's fine. But what's the payoff there? Because Rhea already has been ousted. She's already been cheated on, so to speak. So Rhea's not going to come and crash the wedding. That'd be boring and predictable. So Liv and Dom get married, but who would interrupt and why? You know, I mean, so anyway, or they just do a wedding and there's no interruption. It's just they're married. You know. But it's been a while. It's been a hot minute, Jeff. So, all right, let's quickly get to the Joe Hendry report, and maybe we have time for something else, but we'll see. Let's go.
Podcast world, this is DJ Kuzmo back at it again on your Mailbag show. Record you live on a Wednesday morning, and you know what time it is. It's time to
say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
Joe Hendry is his name as I take it to my 8th episode of the Joe Hendry Report. But before we get to what took place this past Sunday live from Denver, Colorado, NXT No Mercy, I must take you to this past Friday as TNA Pro Wrestling hosted its own pay-per-view event called TNA Emergence live from Louisville, Kentucky, as Joe Hendry was included in an 8-man tag team match. It was Joe Hendry, Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, and Mike Santana getting the victory against the system in 19 minutes and 17 seconds as Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy believe in Joe Hendry. The Hardy Boys believe in Joe Hendry. Now let's take it to NXT No Mercy as we had the highly anticipated NXT Championship match of Joe Hendry versus Ethan Page. Would this be the night that Joe Hendry become the NXT champion, a TNA guy in NXT becoming the NXT champion? Sadly, that was not the case as we had a whole bunch of shenanigans in which none other than Ethan Page retained his NXT championship in a matchup that went 15 minutes and 7 seconds. Trick Williams, of course, was the special guest referee, and the crowd was behind Joe Hendry throughout the match, especially in the second half of the match after when Joe Hendry hit the standing ovation on Ethan Page. It seemed like this was going to be a quick pin and win for Joe Hendry, but that was not the case as Ethan Page's foot was underneath the rope. Trick Williams, who vowed to call the match a fair match, had to see that his foot was underneath the rope and had to call off the count. Joe Hendry and Trick Williams had a little issue. They had a little confrontation as they argued about this situation, but then Ethan Page shoved Joe Hendry into Trick Williams, and Trick Williams goes outside the ring. We get a second referee, and we thought maybe Joe Hendry will get the victory, but then Ethan Page continues his shenanigans as he goes for the NXT Championship belt. As he goes for the NXT Championship belt, here comes Joe Hendry to do a quick roll-up pin on Ethan Page, but he kicks out, and then he goes right into a DDT on the NXT Championship belt as Ethan Page did that to Joe Hendry. Then as the second referee was about to make the count, here comes Trick Williams to stop the third count, and then we continue the match. As Joe Hendry was about to go for the standing ovation chokeslam, then Ethan Page kicks him in the nuts, and we have, oh my goodness, Ethan Page with the ego's edge, and 1, 2, 3, Ethan Page retains the NXT Championship, and we, the crowd, we all thought that Joe Hendry was going to win. We all leave empty-handed. Joe Hendry leaves empty-handed as Ethan Page retains his championship. What's next for Joe Hendry? Will this be the last time we see Joe Hendry on NXT? As he did say that he will be at any time, any place, and any show. So with that being said, continue to believe in Joe Hendry. I know that he lost. This is a second tough loss for him in a championship main event match, but still believe in Joe Hendry. Say his name, and most importantly, do this.
Wave your hands from side to side and say, oh, I believe in Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is so prestigious.
Once again, this is your guy, DJ Kuzmo. Have a blessed week. Be kind to one another. Stay safe, my friends. Believe and peace.
DJ, thank you so much for those reports every single week. It really does keep myself and those who aren't following NXT, specifically Joe Hendry's path to the main roster, inevitable path to the main roster. Those that aren't following it, we can follow along through you, and thank you so much. Now, you mentioned quickly that Joe Hendry, you're wondering if he is going to be back in NXT, that he hinted that he may not be, for too much longer. I remain steadfast that Joe Hendry should stay in NXT for a little longer until maybe the Rumble, where he makes maybe a cameo appearance, see how the crowd reacts, which I think they'll pop big for him. And then perhaps have him post-Mania make it to the main roster, for real. So he'll make a quick appearance, show face, introduce himself to the fans that may not have watched him in NXT, to those that do watch on the main rosters, the main roster shows over on SmackDown, and especially in the Rumble season, which is when a lot of fans who don't watch wrestling at all come back. You'll, I think, be in a good position post-Mania to make an impact for the following year. So that's how I would book him. No need to rush people out of NXT. And the thing is, I know that a lot of fans are impatient. NXT is a development ground for the main roster, but also NXT is part of the same company that Raw and SmackDown are, meaning the WWE umbrella, i.e. TKO, we know that, but they still need to have stars to build the NXT brand, and you can't have the NXT brand be built to build new stars if those stars you're building in NXT just constantly come over to the main roster and there's no replenishment of the system. So it's a fine balance. It's difficult. So, but thank you so much, DJ. All right, do we have one more? Let me see.
Hey, it's Kyle from Baltimore. So I wanted to talk about, Ron and the storyline as well. Between Rhea and Liv. It's, to me, Liv needs to stay champion at least for the rest of the year. And if they put the title back on Rhea Ripley, they need to have some credible stories for her, because the issue is with Rhea is that, she may get great reactions from the crowd, but, it's kind of similar to Becky. It's the respect people like her, but as a storyline perspective and as a character perspective, what does anybody care about her title run in terms of credible challengers? Or just her character herself. Liv has been doing a great job with her character work. She doesn't have any credible challengers, but I think that's the other issue, is that her character there wasn't one, because it was involved in the Judgment Day throughout last year. So if they put the title back on Rhea Ripley, I fear they're going to go back to where it was last year. So I hope that's not the case. They have a better direction for her if she does win the title at that, but if that's the direction. So I don't know how you feel about that. And because bad mistake, if it happens, have some credible challengers for her line up before, after her feud with Liv. So that's my thoughts. But that's it. Bye.
Hey, Kyle, yeah, you bring up a good point. I mean, first of all, I like baby faces in chase mode generally. It's more fun than the actual destination, even though we want them to get there, and they should. The chase is so much fun. And they didn't do a great job with Rhea as champion before she was having to relinquish the belt. I would agree with that, and fans forget that. They want her to be champion so bad now because she's on a hot streak. She's in a great story with Liv. Liv also, though, is half the story here. She is resurrecting a career that many of us would have left for dead a couple of years ago. No one saw this coming for Liv, and good for her. She's found that perfect spot for her character. It's perfect. Finally, right? After all the days in the Riot Squad getting just crushed by Ronda Rousey, remember all that? I think she's now in a place where she knows who she is, that's great. And I think taking the belt off her would really halt that momentum. Plus, Rhea Ripley doesn't need that back right now. And you're right. When Rhea had the belt, sure, she was in the Judgment Day and she was doing a lot of Judgment Day stuff, but they didn't have a whole lot of opponents for her. They for the first few months of her run, they were just like, oh yeah, you're champion. We forgot. It felt like that. So Rhea as champion, if they could give it to her again, I mean, you can only face Liv Morgan so many times. Who are you going to go against now? I mean, Rhea Ripley's only got so many people she can work with, and they seem to be very hesitant to give her opponents when she was in the Judgment Day. Now she's with Damian Priest, but that's not really a faction that won't last too long. They'll eventually both go their separate ways when the whole Judgment Day Terror Twins debacle dissolves, which should be after Bad Blood. So yeah, but I would agree with that. I mean, again, no need to stop the momentum of Liv. If Liv was a train wreck as champion, you might have a case, but Liv is doing very well, and you're really going to, pull the rug from underneath her if you decide to take the belt from her, because I think part of the run that's been successful for her, part of the reason for it is that belt. Part of it. She's women's world champion. And with Dom, it makes you even more infuriated. It's great. So to me, no need to change a thing. Rhea in chase mode's fun, and I wouldn't change a thing. All right, well, I'll end it there, guys. I know we got one more voicemail. It's from the European champion. I didn't forget about you, pal. I didn't forget about you. We'll put you on the Sunday show, all right? We'll put your voicemail on the Sunday show. And for those of you that do want to call in, I know that voicemails have been kind of light over the last several months because, namely, I've been terrible at getting to them, so my bad. But if you do want to call, maybe we can start incorporating some of them into the back end of like the Sunday night show, the weekend review show. That number is, get ready for it, 518-952-0247. All right. So call that. No, it's not a direct line to my number. I wouldn't answer it if you called me anyway, because I'm a jerk. But no, it is literally a voicemail box. All right. You get 3 minutes, no more, no less. Well, actually, you could get less, but you're not going to be able to go more because it'll cut you off at 3 minutes. I prefer more like a minute or two at the most, honestly, just because it's easier for the listening experience. But hey, if you don't want to call that, call in, leave a voicemail, guys. Maybe we'll put some more on the show on Sunday night. So I'm going to end here. Thank you, everybody, for calling in and for emailing, taking the time to do so. This is very fun listening to all you guys and hearing from our actual listeners. Don't forget, if you want to go ad-free, patreon.com/WWE podcast is a great way to go. You get an ad-free experience. You get the Discord server. You get an exclusive show every week, and some other stuff. So check us out there. Apple as well. Apple Podcasts does offer an ad-free experience, wwepodcast.com. Or you can go to Spotify. I know a lot of you listen to us through Spotify as well. So I think there's an ad-free option there. Someone needs to confirm that. I can't see it for some reason, but we should. So, all right, that's it for me. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy football. Football's back. So if you're a football fan, it's been a long summer, but it's here. So, all right, everybody, thanks so much, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to wwepodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.